welcome everyone and to this online information meeting about AiBEC. My name's Tony Lipke and I'm the CEO of the association. My objectives today is to give you an understanding of why AiBEC was firstly established, its history to date, which is only very short, the corporate governance structures, and importantly, why you should join as a member or an allied supporter. And we're at that stage of our development. Happy to answer questions as we go along, but I've found at the face-to-face meetings, most of the questions have been kept till the end, but I'm quite flexible either way, so if anyone wants to make a comment or ask a question, please, they can do so. But we'll certainly have questions at the end also. Let's move along a little bit. And at this stage, I wanted to introduce why AiBEC was established, and really the person behind AiBEC was Dennis Bakir, and I'd like Dennis to say a few words to you all about why we're here and how we got here a little bit. Thanks, Dennis.
Well, look, from our perspective, I mean, obviously there's you guys, majority of, I mean, I can only see who's online here. It looks like it's pretty much our staff, but in saying that, you haven't actually heard the story behind it. And you've heard the story about how AiBEC is evolving, and you're seeing things on LinkedIn, and you're seeing posts and details that are being developed in time. But in saying that, the reasoning and why we're here tonight and why we've had these 3 post meetings in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, and having meetings now further on in Adelaide and in Perth, is because there's a vision of betterment and improvement that we as professionals, as professional building and engineering consultants, are wanting to do. And to do this is something that goes beyond our normal day and our normal procedures of work. This is something that goes beyond what everyone's normally doing. This doesn't exist. And it's all come to fruition because, in essence, there was a flood inquiry that has been held as a result of the floods in 2022 that established very clearly that experts, that's been what we do, building and engineering consultancies, were found to be deficient in quality. They were found to be deficient in what they were producing, their training. And this brought an idea to me when I read a paper which was then authored by the General Insurance Code of Governance called Making Better Claims Decision. It's a thematic paper. And it pretty much tore apart experts, and we'll get to the term of what an expert is defined as at the moment. But in essence, the reports that are being used by insurers to make determinations on claims were not in good quality. They're not completed correctly. They talk about, they're not considered to be independent. They're lacking the expertise that's required. In saying that, I saw a vision personally, and I saw it through AICLA, where an industry body of professionals, being loss adjusters, were able to come together as professionals, even though they're competitors, but come together as professionals in a body, in an association, and work together for the betterment of what they do, and then move forward. And I saw that building and engineering consultants should be at that position now. We, as professionals, should be able to do the same thing. We should be able to get together and have a voice and mandate betterment and improvement that the industry is calling for. And that was the birth and the reasoning behind AiBEC. But in order to create AiBEC outside of some form of individual organisation, it needs to have a champion that has been involved in it, that has done something similar like this for many, many years. And that man is Tony Lipke. And where the opportunity came that I saw was where Tony, being the CEO of AICLA, and he still has involvement with AICLA, and we all know AICLA because it's a body that is distinguished by its years of existence and its performance as a professional body in the insurance industry outside of insurers. that we had an opportunity to come together and create this body in similar fashion. So I met with Tony and had a discussion with Tony originally, and he can go through the timeline further down the presentation. But the concept of what we're creating here is an association that we, as professional building and engineering consultants, can come together as competition, as differing people or different professions altogether, but bound by the common ground of the insurance industry and what we do. And this was seen evidently when we had our first session in Sydney, and we had 40 odd people, and these were competitors. These were people that were not professionals in the sense of engineers or building consultants. They were builders, they were restorers, they were allied supporters, as we call them. There were insurers themselves that came together in one common room under this banner of AiBEC. And that in itself is an achievement. And what we need to do now is form that common achievement to build this body. And there are a number of aspects and objectives that we need to meet, which we need to formally advise of these. And these are what has been recognised in a number of papers. And again, we will go through in detail with this probably a little bit further back into once Tony starts in there. But the Insurance Code of Practice has been reviewed, and that Code of Practice discloses experts at this very moment as someone who provides a report on damage. It doesn't provide a definition of who an expert is. AFCA themselves have made commentary regarding expert reporting, what's included. They're starting to write papers regarding what expert report should include and exclude without any consultation with us. And the reason for that is that we don't exist. We didn't exist. We haven't been a voice. And what AiBEC is an opportunity for professionals to come together under a collective banner, under a collective association, and form technical committees, form togetherness, so we can have a voice and project where we're going as an industry. It's a very special industry. I mean, what we do is very special. Yes, we're building and engineering consultants, but we've got this opportunity to form something that we all work very hard together with. And this is what we're aiming for. So AiBEC, in essence, is a combination of bringing everything together, bringing people under a banner, and then regulating the industry to answer calls of betterment and improvement that we will go through the certain different publications and reviews that are asking that of us. And that's where AiBEC starts. So I'll go back to Tony again, and then Tony can push back further on there. But that's the body of AiBEC's establishment.
Thanks, Dennis. And as you all know, Dennis is very passionate about this project, and I've put up the first two slides, which gives the rationale for why AiBEC was established, which is covered in Dennis's speech. It does give, for the first time, experts, and experts at the moment, the problem with the definitions is there's no definition, but moving forward, we believe that there will be more carve-out as to who is an expert, whether it's in the Insurance Code of Practice or in other findings. But it does give us as an association a place at the table, so that we can have some input with AFCA, with insurers, loss adjusters, and others. And another important aspect of why we exist is to tailor training with an emphasis on insurance issues. So that will be the biggest focus of AiBEC moving forward. Obviously, we're in the startup phase, and there's a lot of work going on here to drive membership. But down the track, it's going to be, the emphasis will be on training and education. And that's not to make you a better building consultant or an engineer, but more in the other areas of insurance-related aspects. So there's been a lot of work went on behind the scenes to establish the institute. But as an institute, we do have a code of professional conduct that we expect all our members to adhere to. And part of that code includes that they conform with the requirements as they relate to them in respect of the General Insurance Code of Practice, the GICOP, GICOP. So these code of professional conduct standards are fairly similar to what you'd expect in any professional association. So there's nothing in there that would worry anyone, but it's important that we have these policies in place, and that's an important one. So that's our code of professional conduct. The other document that's really we did a lot of work on and had to think about was how wide was the association going to be for membership. And a lot of people that have come to the meetings in Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne don't qualify for actual membership because the membership is limited to building consultants and engineers, not other specialists. But we've also recognised that they've got an important role to play in this, in the claims area. And so we've got what we call, and Dennis used the word before, allied supporters. And in fact, we've got some very significant take up in that area already from some major organisations who want to be associated with AiBEC because they believe in what we're doing is a good thing, but they don't qualify as members because they're not a qualified engineer or a building consultant. And I'll go through some of those companies later on because we talk about allied supporters in this presentation. But there is a membership policy with the criteria for joining, and some of the other criteria that you must hold professional indemnity insurance, and that's one of the other major requirements. And meet the you mustn't also have a conflict of interest. We have a conflict of interest clause that's in the membership policy, and this is to this has stopped a lot of people who would otherwise qualify. It's, in other words, we're only identifying and asking companies that do the consulting to be members. If they're actually doing the repairs or restoration work, then they fall under our conflicts clause, and they're not eligible to be members. Again, they can be allied supporters, but they can't be a member of the association. So that conflicts clause, it says if they do it themselves or through an organisation that performs repairs or renovations or fixes repairs or losses in respect of insurance claims, ceases to be eligible for membership of the association. So I just wanted to make that point at this stage. Here's an interesting, we sat down and when we were going around the country, we thought it'd be interesting to show people how AiBEC was formed and where it all started. And in fact, it started back in May 2023 with just a conversation between Dennis and I in Bangkok. It was the claims convention in Bangkok in that time. By then, I'd made it known to everyone that I was standing down as the CEO of AiBEC. I'd had performed that role for some 27 years since it was formed. But I'm still engaged with AiBEC in certain activities. So helping them with their conventions in Sydney and Asia and a few other activities. So I'm not completely, divorced from AiBEC at all, but certainly not, to the same extent that I used to be involved. So when Dennis raised this idea back in May, it took a little bit of time. I went away and had a think about it, and then in June we met back in Brisbane. He was here for something, and he really crystallised the idea of what AiBEC would be. And then we met back in Sydney in September, and that was actually the claims conference, the Sydney Claims Conference, AICLAS. And I had a long think about, the proposal, and I can see, and I've seen over the last 10 years, the trend that has been very, very significant, where experts' reports and the rise of consultants in the engineering and building space has been probably the biggest change that I've seen for a long time in the claims area. And I did realise that there was a gap there for this group. So it was at that time I said to, I think it's something that's well worthwhile, and that we should press ahead with it. We then just started discussions. We needed a third director, by the way, just with ASIC, and I'll explain the structure to you a little bit down the track. But we did need a third director. Andrew Morse is a fairly prominent person in this area, builder, of course, building consultant, not a builder, but a building consultant. Andrew was approached in October, and he saw the value in it. So we started to engage lawyers to draft the constitution. We also had a marketing meeting with our marketing consultant, Brave, and that was in December. And then bang, in February, we finalised the constitution. We had further marketing meetings, and marketing was more strategy meetings. Andrew joined the board in April, and it was incorporated on the 15th of April, AiBEC, and that was really the start of it. Then, since then, there's been a number of submissions that have been prepared and lodged on behalf of AiBEC, and Dennis was the driving force behind those, including the code of practice with submission and Treasury submission, and there's been others also. Then we held a directors' meeting in Brisbane. We launched ourselves on LinkedIn. We've established a web page, and the big announcement was really getting an article in Insurance News at that same date, 21st of May. And since then, we haven't stopped. It's been frenetic, to tell you the truth. Early on, straight after that, everyone was knocking on our door trying to find out what AiBEC was and what did it look like. And we very early in the piece, we had a meeting with IAG in Brisbane. They asked me to come to a meeting with NData, one of their consultants. And then we also had a meeting with ICA, Alexandra Horton, and there's a lot of other meetings being held. But we also contacted, Christina, can you just read that one? The Code Compliance Committee and a few others. Meetings were held in quick succession, including AFCA, which was very significant because we actually got to the Chief Ombudsman for Insurance, Emma Curtis, and she was very, very supportive of this initiative, I must say, from the AFCA side of things. She thought it was well worthwhile. There's another one, Kristen. No? Okay. Then we obviously organised our planning meetings in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, and they've all been held. And I must say they were all very well attended. And while not everyone was eligible to be a member, we certainly got very good feedback. In fact, we got very positive feedback. And some of the feedback led us to change what our offering was and when we released the offering. So, we're definitely listening. Then we've got corporate founding members, allied supporters promotion. And really since then, it's all been trying to build membership and allied supporters. The first allied supporter we signed up was actually the biggest insurer in Australia, IAG. So we're delighted, with that fact. That was on 27th of June. So they've jumped in very early, and they've said to us that they see, great benefits in an AiBEC type association moving forward to identify who are the experts as opposed to, other people that may claim to or may be recognised otherwise as an expert but may not be an expert. So the official launch date for AiBEC was set by our strategist on the 1st of October, but in fact, we realised after the release by Insurance News, we couldn't hold it back. And in fact, we've been taking membership applications now probably for about the last 4 weeks, and things are going well. There's a few things planned in the future, and I'll talk about them, but they are the dates that are at the end there. We're having an AGM early in the new year, and I'll talk about that. And then we're having a conference in Sydney in July. So that's a little bit of a history. It's interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
That's not good. Okay. I'd like to just talk a little bit about the legal structure of what AiBEC is, because I'd like you to, from the outset, know that the association is not Andrew Morse and Dennis McKeer. It's actually it's a member-owned organisation, so it's a not-for-profit company limited by guarantee, with individuals being voting members and corporates are non-voting members. So, as I say, the members are the owners of the association. There's a constitution, code of professional conduct. There are member policies that direct the company and guide the members. So we're an ASIC registered organisation. So So we fall under the rules that ASIC has for all companies. So but instead of having shareholders, we have members. This is what it's going to look like moving forward. There will be a board of 8 directors. 6 will be elected by the members, and 2 will be appointed by those elected members. So until we have our inaugural AGM, though, there's an interim board, and you have to start somewhere. So that's the structure that we've got now. As an interim board will stay in place until February, March next year when we hold our first elections. So those elections will be open to anyone who's a member to nominate, and we'll see what happens. We decided that we wanted to get a geographic spread of directors also in the association. So there's regions, and the regions are pretty straightforward. Queensland, Northern Territory is one region. New South Wales and ACT is a region. Victoria and Tassie is a region, and South Australia, West Australia is a region. And overseas, because we didn't want to limit this association to Australia, overseas is also another region. Only 2 directors can come from any one region. So if we had 4 directors nominated out of Queensland, only 2 of them would be eligible, to be elected. So, but that's the mechanics of it. The real and those 2 that are to be appointed, they can come from any region, and they'll be appointed based on their expertise that they'll be able to provide to the board. So, and they'll be there for a year. The other directors will be elected for 2 years, but half the board will retire each year. So in the first after the first election, some directors will retire after a year. But it's all very stock standard, by the way, for associations. I'm very familiar with the structure of companies limited by guarantee. Now I'd just like to touch on in some detail who we're looking to encourage to join the association. There's different numbers of memberships. There's 3 classes of membership, in fact. And the first one is individual founding members, and they'll be founding members if they join between now and when the board decides that we'll close it off. But we're anticipating probably by the end of the year we'll stop taking founding members. But individuals, they're involved in providing building and engineering consultancy services to the insurance sector and supports the aims and objectives of AiBEC. We're not trying to replace Engineers Australia or MBA or anyone else like that, Master Builders. We're just trying to give a home for those that are involved in this space of providing insurance services and advice. So most of you have probably followed us on LinkedIn or seen the website, so you would be familiar with the badges, but it's very distinctive. So an individual, he has to have his professional qualifications. He needs professional indemnity. The indemnity level will be left up to the individuals to determine. We're not going to say there's a 5 million is the minimum or something, because some companies maybe 20, more likely to be what they need, depending on their size, and others might be even smaller. They have to complete a GICOC questionnaire. It's part of the application process, and it's to test that you do have an understanding of your responsibilities under the General Insurance Code of Practice. Now that so there's about 5 questions that you go through in the process of joining. We give you the guide as to what parts of the Code of Practice you should read. There's really very little in the Code of Practice. It's one of the beefs that we've got about the code. And when I say we, talking about AiBEC, because it's lack of definition of what is an expert, which Dennis has already touched on. You also have to agree to undertake the ANZIIF course, Caring for the Vulnerable Customer. Everywhere we went, particularly with regulators and insurers, it's this looking after people that are vulnerable and caring for them in an advisory way. I'm not saying so that is part of the membership that we will enrol you for after you join, and you can undertake that course. I think you get 3 months to complete it. It's probably an hour-long course. It's not very onerous. But Dennis, you've done it, I think, haven't you?
I'll jump in. Yes, I have. So I'll jump in. I'll give Tony a bit of a break. So the ANZIIF course, and just to get some background on the ANZIIF course, obviously with the sense of what we're doing here as an association for insurance building and engineering consultants, as engineers and building consultants, we have our own course of technical study. We'll get to where that training will come to fruition further down and where our visions are for that. And that'll be from our supplier supporters, and I'll get to that. But with respect to the insurance side of it, which is what we're very specialised in and what we're all sitting here and very proud of being involved in, is that what was identified within the code of practice and within the submissions with respect to experts and deficiencies and training that was required was irrespective of technical issues of quality. One was with respect to actually adapting and using the terms of vulnerability, the terms of dealing with vulnerable customers under the code of practice, which as experts, we're not trained to do that. But as we all know, and those that work within the industry, we are now placed by insurers to be providing advice for their claims handling process, which in most cases end up in a declination position where the insured could be or frustrated or invulnerable, where we need to be having an understanding of that. So it's come past now that insurers can just flick onto an expert and say, let's provide an expert report. We need to have background and some small training regarding what the understanding and not only so the acknowledgement of what vulnerability is according to the insurance code of practice, what we should do and how we should deal with it. Very basic. And in saying that, when we were coming up with how we're putting together the membership and what should qualify an individual member within AiBEC, we approached ANZIIF, who obviously are the insurance industry training providers, and they have a shelved product that is very much applicable to what we needed. So we had that meeting with ANZIIF and came up with a collaborative understanding that we are going to adopt that within our membership system as training, and obviously under the insurance code of practice as well. So that's where that comes into play. But in saying that, as building and engineering consultants, we're obviously looking for other parts of training which the individual members are seeking. And obviously on a return of what we're doing, AiBEC itself, from a sort of higher level area where board level and membership would differ. From a membership perspective, we're looking at training and we're putting together technical committees, and that's the view where we've spoken with ANZIIF, because one of the parts of issue is not only that experts have got issues with identified issues with quality and what they're putting together. The issues that are stemming back from expert reports are that, and as we all would appreciate, the insurers themselves need training on what they're actually instructing experts to do. So it starts a chicken and an egg arrangement where, yes, you can criticise the expert for not writing a quality report that is skewing the outcome for the insured, which is where we've had meetings with advocacy groups saying that the insured isn't getting a fair go because experts are conceived to be non-transparent and biased because the insurer is engaging. That's another conversation we're dealing with. But in saying that, we've been asked to report on things that are not conventionally correct because the insurers themselves or the claims people aren't understanding which expert should they be actually requesting for. What expert should they actually be asking for with respect to what they're actually determining? Obviously, one major thing out of the hearing and the code of practice and the review is that experts have been identified, bad ones, obviously, in the sense of providing determination on policy. That's something we don't do. We're there to provide an independent opinion on causation for claims people and insurers to make decisions on. So we've come back to ANZIIF and said, look, that's fantastic. We're getting vulnerability courses, but in the end, it's also been identified that courses for claims handlers and claims professionals need to be done so they can understand what an engineer would be. What type of engineer is a civil? What's a structural? What's a geotech? What's a hydrologist? What's the difference between a hydraulic? When do you need a building consultant? Very basic stuff that experts hopefully experts would understand, but the claims people themselves need education. So it's going to be a two-way street where we're going to try to create that give and take, that we also give back. And also it gives an opportunity for members to be involved in something very special where we can come together and provide all that experience and formulate it under a course back, and also give training back to our allied supporters and clients as well. So that is one aspect of where we're looking. But with the individual members of the training, one of the other aspects is that obviously we need to build this association so we can get value. But the other big one is suppliers. One thing that we do day in and day out as building and engineering consultants is either comment or qualify on building materials, on causation of damage, defect, issues like that we constantly refer to in order to justify or produce our reports. In particular, terms of wear and tear, maintenance, deterioration. These are translated definitions that have been raised and have been issued, again, through these codes, which it's not going to be today's discussion. There's so much volume of information that we need to address. And this comes at the different levels of member to board to technical teams. But there is so much that we need to address as a grouped body. But in saying that, we will get technical training, for example, we will offer, and we'll go to, and here's a rough example, LISARTs, for example. We look at hail damage roof sheeting. We look at the technical bulletin. We all use it. We all justify it. Insurers use it, whether something has been structurally damaged or whether it's hail damaged. Has anyone actually received actual information regarding that with the insurers, LISARTs themselves? So we want to get information like that. Paint, when is it considered wear and tear? What's the actual usable life? I mean, we say something may be deteriorated, but in saying that, we've got no justification. So we want to be working with suppliers such as Dulux, for example, issuing understanding what is the actual age or what's the expected age for when paint needs to be reapplied. When is it considered wear and tear? So we can then go back and assist formulation of determinations of terminologies. So it gives the insured and the insurer a better value of what is required when we put those definitions together in our reports. So these are just minor things I'm just rattling off here, but the volumes of where we can go as an association, as professionals coming together to put together these technical aspects, that we have a voice, that we can now start to contribute and engage and collaborate with the people that are actually putting this together. We had a meeting with the ICA, and they're putting together a paper on experts and what expert reporting should be and what it should include and what they'd expect. When we had this discussion with them, I said, did you actually consult any experts? No, we didn't. We just we put it together. Well, to their defense, they can't, because we didn't exist. Now we do. So we have an opportunity now, the members, the people that want to take the time to build within this industry that we're working in, who work in this, and most people that are working within this industry are very proud of what they're doing. I mean, it's a very closed industry that, with specialized understanding with experts now, and especially all other stakeholders, we can better what we do together. Yes, we're all different competition. Yes, we have different paths. But as I said, as professionals now, and with the maturity of where we're going, this is a very exciting time to build that. So we want to be building and advocating what we're doing, promoting it, and the education piece as members, which is what we've been hearing. I mean, we can talk the high level of where we wish to go with respect to AiBEC and its importance within the insurance process and claims handling. But education is a big piece. But to get education, we need members, so we can generate interest from industry, so we can generate interest from those policymakers that we need in order for them to come to us and provide that educational piece. So I'll leave it back to Tony to continue on regarding the different memberships there.
Thanks again, Dennis. And those are the other qualifications and requirements, code of professional conduct. The CPD, or CPE, we'll call it, continuing professional education requirement. Most engineers and that, well, they're all engineers and building consultants will have their own requirements for continuing professional development. So we'll piggyback off that, but also we want to design some courses, that are more insurance focused. And it was said to us at the very first meeting by an insurer in the audience. He said, "I'd like to have the opportunity to address your consultants to understand better the processes that go on behind the scenes that are not related to the report, so you've got a better understanding." So a lot of our CPE, when we develop it, will be from people that are allied supporters or suppliers, as Dennis said, or other members who've got technical expertise that they can share with our own members. And I think our first webinar is going to be hosted by Dr. Tim Law, which I think Tim was part of this this group today from RIC. So we're pretty excited about that. There'll be more of that coming out in the near future. So, Christina, just come. Someone wants to be admitted a little bit late, but better late than ever. And then
yes, we wanted. Yes.
Christina's here just now. Christina.
Okay.
Yeah. So the individual founding members, the benefits is you get recognition as an individual founding member on the website and ongoing for as long as your membership is renewed. You get an e-certificate and welcoming you. You get enrolled in the ANZIIF course and you get the exclusive use of that badge, individual founding member. The cost for the membership is $400 and that will run through to December next year. And the annual ongoing cost at this stage is set at $400 plus GST. So it's not a high cost. And we've only been taking memberships for a few weeks. Can't give you the exact date, but we're up around 30 members, individual members. There's it's also a corporate founding member, and this is for bigger organisations, significant organisations, and corporate founding members, a business involved in providing the same services. Again, they can't be involved in the repairs of losses. So they might have individuals or big companies. A good example might be a Johns Lyng Group. I'm sure they've got engineers and building consultants on, but they also do the repair work. So they'd be targeted by us as an allied supporter because they don't meet the conflict of interest criteria. These corporate founding members, they'll get perpetual acknowledgement as such. They'll get acknowledgement on the website, LinkedIn and the email footer, exclusive use of the corporate founding member badge on their company letterhead website and promotional opportunity to present at AiBEC training, 5 individual memberships, eligible to be nominated as an AiBEC director, 2 complimentary registrations at our conference that's planned for July in Sydney, invitation for an event in Brisbane to be held in November, and a commemorative memento. This is quite significant. So this is really very, fairly significant firms. It's $20,000 to join, and that goes through till December next year. But after that, the annual subscription will be $5,000 for those corporate members. So that's number 2. And there's a third category of membership, and it's just corporate member. So again, these are for companies that want to have their whole company associated with AiBEC, and we've had a few take this opportunity to join at this level. We've also got some as a corporate founding members, but in this space we've got 2 corporate members that have joined recently, RIC and Structability. So they've both come on as corporate members, and again, it's similar acknowledgements as a corporate member on our website, at 1 individual membership, eligible to nominate as a director, complimentary registration, and the use of the corporate member badge on their company letterhead, website, and promotional material. Did someone have a question? Okay. The cost of corporate membership is $5,000, and the annual renewal rate is $5,000. So in the corporate founding members, founding members will and corporate members will pay the same after the 12 months. The next group are not members, but they're allied supporters, and I've spoken a bit about these already. But they're organisations that support our objectives, but don't qualify as a corporate individual member. It's very interesting, this class, that it's created a lot of interest. They'll have an opportunity for organisations to promote themselves as being associated with AiBEC. They'll get recognition on our website as an allied supporter. These are people that will definitely be helping us with opportunities to present at AiBEC training sessions because they've got a lot of expertise in some cases, and it'll be valuable for us. They'll get some 2 complimentary attendees at the training seminars and workshops that we put on during the year in 2025. 2 complimentary tickets to the July conference, and they'll be also have the opportunity to display their supporter badge on their company letterhead, website, promotional material. Next one's going to be important, and I think Dennis might explain how we're going to establish what's called an Allied Supporter Advisory Committee, AiSAC, and also we're going to establish technical committees of our own members. So these will be outside the board, but they'll be technical committees. But AiSAC, the idea of AiSAC is to consult and provide working recommendations on insurance betterment and improvement back to AiBEC, including hands-on technical advice to AiBEC with respect to submissions and formal conference with insurance industry stakeholders, being consumers, general public and insurers. Again, Dennis, we just want to mention the concept and the technical committees that we're going to establish for members. Yep.
Thank you, Tony. Look, with respect to allied members, and as we started this journey, one of the major supporters initially were the allied, as Tony explained, the allied supporters, those being people within the insurance industry that work within, and then we work with them daily, as in restorers or builders or insurers themselves, or other experts, you would say, that didn't fall within the qualification of our membership. It has to be very particular, our membership, and that has actually been identified by AFCA, and that this needs to be high level, that you need to formulate a regulated body of people that can be considered or rounded up within AiBEC. And when the insurance industry know that there's an AiBEC member, they understand that they've got these certain qualifications and criteria. It isn't open for everybody because it doesn't give that exclusivity of a regulated industry association that is at that professional level. In saying that, the people that fall outside of that criteria are not unwelcome, and they're not that they're not qualified in what they do. They just don't fall within the provisions of what we're setting. And in saying that, they've expressed a lot of interest in this association. They can see the benefit. They want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of it because they can see the energy that's going to be pressed into it, and they can see the writing on the wall that what documents are saying and where this is moving within industry. In particular, restorers and builders and other experts. And in saying that, we've created the Allied Support System and the actually advisory committee that they get a chance to put together their thoughts, because as experts, we do talk about building diagnostics and causation and engineering matters, but we also have to refer to other types of technical matters that we may not have grounding on. In particular, restoration, we may not be restorers, but we may use a moisture meter. We need to understand or appreciate what these people are doing. Or if we're looking at different specialised items, such as we have a new member who's in the lift, who's a lift specialist or consultant. So understand about different things like that. Or builders themselves that may have ideas. Yes, we work with them every day. So they're able to sit in those committees. But in saying that, the technical committees of AiBEC are really going to be put together in order to establish and found principles where we're able to get to the table of decision makers that are looking at issues that really need our technical advice, and they haven't sought it because we haven't existed as a body to actually represent. One in particular is the submission, which is the new submission. It's regarding the flood inquiry and about the impacts of climatic risk on insurance premiums. In particular, flooding, that areas of flood can't be covered because of the issues that have occurred. There's issues regarding resilience and about building buildings now that aren't just relating to structure in the sense of force, but also looking at how they can be resilient to flood water, waterproofing, mold proof. Is there issues about finished floor levels, heights? These things, there's opportunity for us to be involved in conversation and engagement with the insurance industry to indicate maybe there is a possibility that people that live near a flood-prone area could live in a situated dwelling that can move up and down subject to finished floor levels and floods. Maybe there's technologies that we could explore. Maybe we could. So these are things that as a technical committee at the high level, we can be a voice to present. It will also express opportunity for individuals to be a part of something and also create a solution to problems that are being presented. That's just one example that the insurance industry is coming in, just with that. Obviously, there's other issues in with respect to actual, flood proofing or mold, risk management, issues that we've been trained as engineers and building consultants or professionals within that field can offer. So the technical committees are there for our provision, but the allied supporters as well can have a subdivision or subcommittee, as we've explained it, that can also present and be a part of that conversation that we're doing. So we're looking at, again, very big picture policy sections on where we can contribute and where members who wish to have that opportunity to move forward to give that. It will also benefit, obviously, their technical skills in what we do and round about what we're about. But in saying that, from the individual perspective as well, those allied supporters can provide seminars and training that will also benefit the individual. So, as Tony said, we're very grateful that RIC, that being the restoration consultants, have joined as members. And the reason for that is that Dr. Tim Law, who's actually on here tonight, and he did present at the AICLA Queensland conference, a significant presenter, very well-respected university lecturer with respect to architectural and mould and other environmental issues, can present to us commentary about that type of items that don't affect us directly, but indirectly we should know. So that's just one example where an allied supporter or an allied or a technical member of the actual of the association provide back. And in saying that, also provide back to industry. So AiBEC also then not only provides to our members, but provides to other memberships. We will be going towards AICLA and presenting and saying, look, we're able to present this. As I said, we want to be joint venturing and collaborating with ANZIIF or insurers or whoever wishes, or put presentations together that members individually or as corporations can come together and provide seminar information that will benefit not only the insurance industry stakeholders, but also themselves as businesses within the entity of the association. So there's opportunity for everybody as a platform, AiBEC. It is a collective membership that we're looking to better what we do. So that's pretty much where the allied supporter and the technical committee comes in. And it all stems back then to, obviously, the more members we have, the more opportunity we can stress that where our uniformity as a profession is there, and then our voice can be heard at those positions that will make a difference.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. I just wanted to also mention the sorts of companies. We mentioned a couple of them, but it's a really wide cross-section of companies that have actually already signed up. And we do know there's a lot of interest in this area of allied supporter. But I mentioned IAG, and that's a coup for us. Gives us a great deal of credibility that the biggest insurer in Australia has fallen behind us. We've also been interviewed and spoken to representatives at Suncorp, and they're very interested in also, they've got processes to go through. So I'm not saying it's approved, but we think that they're very likely to come on board. There are other insurers we're meeting with next week in Sydney. Dennis and I will be in Sydney again, and just going around to different companies, not just insurers, but consultants also. The other companies that have signed up were Steamatic, Riverwalk Constructions, and so it's a cross section, and ProCare, the loss adjusting group. So, and there's lots of others looking in this area. So the cost for that is it's been up there for a while now. It's $5,000, and really that's the end of it. I'd just like to make a few comments before I forget to make them. If you'd like a copy of the slides, just drop me an email at admin@aibec.co, and I'll make sure that you receive them. And I just mention, most of you would have been following us on LinkedIn and at our website, which we're developing. We put a contract out have a full website built. We need the website. It's a matter of priority. So that's going to happen over the next 4 weeks or so. But keep following us on LinkedIn. There's lots of information there, of course. And I'm just happy now to answer any questions anyone might have. I think there was one question or two questions might have been typed and deleted. I can't find. I'm not Christine. But I'll answer those tomorrow. If I'm also aware of the time that it's nearly 6 o'clock. No.
Can I just raise a quick little? It's not a question, but it's a point I think I'd just like to make. Firstly, let me say, look, as a quantity surveyor, I like the idea that you guys have got those the allied membership, and the reason is that I'm agreeing with yourself and Dennis that there's a lot of dovetailing that a lot of the consultants can all do together. And a perfect example as a quantity surveyor, the one perfect example that always comes up is in insurance policies where there's a cash settlement. Often we are asked to work out the indemnity calculation. The indemnity calculation is for us to work out a value of what is the remaining functional life of a material. I think a couple of years ago, the loss adjusters used to, or AICLA used to prepare a little report or a little booklet that used to give you an idea of what the lifespans of certain materials were. I don't think that's been continued or that's been followed. And so what it does is it means that a lot of us quantity surveyors rely on experience and that sort of thing to try and work out what the exact life of a piece of material is, and then from there try and work out the functional life that's remaining. That unfortunately, when it comes to experience, then experience is open to everybody to provide their sort of experience. So inevitably an indemnity calculation becomes a negotiation at the end of the day. However, as Dennis was saying, if AiBEC are happy to talk to all other suppliers out there and we can then just nail down the actual lifespans of certain materials. Again, roof sheeting. What is the lifespan of roof sheeting under certain conditions? It will just make things a lot easier when it comes to doing a settlement and prevent the arguments that may arise on whether it's a 40-year lifespan, is it a 50-year lifespan? Because that has an effect on actually the functional life that's remaining, and obviously then the cash settlement that's going to be brought out to the insurer. So in that sense, I'm saying, guys, I think this is a good idea.
No, I think that's a wonderful, you've just, look, exactly what you're saying, Bruno, there is exactly what as an association of professionals, and this would be something that once we form as members, we can have that round table where, again, at the moment, we're in this formation period from something to nothing to members. When that formation period happens, the roundtable will say exactly what you just said then. What can AiBEC do to improve the industry? And what you just said then, you're talking about quantity surveying, but actually what you're saying there will define or assist everyone within the insurance industry to understand the terms of what is wear and tear, what is maintenance, what is the serviceable life of materials. And that information becomes a booklet that we as AiBEC, as an association, no different to other associations that qualify the Australian standards, for example. The Australian standards is basically a conglomeration of different associations coming together to put a standard together. We can produce something, not to the level of the Australian standard, but something that the insurance industry can rely on and that we can say and qualify, this has come from the experts collectively, that from all their experiences, the technical committee that's put this together has created the book, we'll call it the blue book or whatever we would call it, of serviceable life materials that insurers can acknowledge, or the Insurance Council may acknowledge, saying that this is a good starting point. It's obviously not gospel, but it's a good starting point that people can look. So that's a great idea, and that's exactly the potential that we have. But we can only have that potential if we all come together, and we come together to form a professional body. As individuals, we have all these ideas, but as a body together, we can implement those into something that's very special that those that wish to be involved in can be. But I mean, without closing and pulling, at the end, we do need your help. We need your help for this to happen. I mean, help in the sense of believing, but also assisting by becoming a member. I understand that, yes, the cost, forget the corporate, I mean, at the 440, just at an individual, those that can do that and push in and help us, this is a position of something that's very special. I want you to understand, and I said this at every function that we went on, this will be something that isn't going away. We work in this industry, and I don't believe people that are sitting in this presentation are going to be moving outside of insurance. We are going to be doing this for the rest of our profession. Most of us who are set are going to be doing this, whether they're at the same organisation or not, but within the industry. You pretty much are going to be experts in this. We as experts are getting more qualified in the sense of what we've been asked to do by insurers. Our position of importance in claims handling is only going to increase. It's only been identified to become better. So we have this, you at this moment have this opportunity to be somewhere very special. This is the inception of something. Then in a couple of years' time, you will be able to look back and say to yourselves that you were a part of it, you were at the beginning of it. And I guarantee you it's very special to be a part of that, because we go to other functions that, and as I said, when we first started, the driving force is AICLA. The driving force is another very similar association that has been drawn by allied industries outside of the insurers themselves, that till today drew 400 people, 500 people in their gatherings, all different people nationally. And it's been going strong because of the belief of what those people had initially. So it's a time that you've got an opportunity to be a part of something in its genesis and its beginning. But to do that and to get it going, we need your help. But all these great ideas will all come together. And the man to put it all together said, Tony is the CEO with his experience running AICLA for all those years together, is what we've got this great opportunity. So that's pretty much where we sit at the moment. We have a lot of work to do. And I ask that we all, those that wish to be a part of it, please, it is offered for you to be a part of it on this journey, because the journey will end only in one way, and that will be something very special that we're aiming to do. We've got a question that needs to be answered. There's a number of them, and building and engineering consultants are trained to resolve things. That's what we do. So we have this task in front of us now. So hopefully you'll all come on board. And if there is any other questions, as Tony had offered, please send them by email or give Tony a call. If you wish to speak to me, I'm very happy to take your call. But in saying that, Tony, being the CEO, we will be looking to have and as we've advertised, personal roadshows in Adelaide and in Perth in September. We will be meeting in Sydney and in in Melbourne in the following week. So if there's anything that you wish, please drop an email, ask anything, but we're looking to do. Hang on, we've got a question here. Tim, Dr. Tim. I like that. That's great. So yeah, that's where we sit. If there is any other questions before we leave, I know we're pressing time. I invite you to, don't be shy, ask anything. It's a good opportunity, but if not, please, as I said, you're very, very welcome to ask either Tony or myself in your leisure.
As we've
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes, Peter.
has someone got a question? Thanks. As we've moved around and met with other groups, we are learning and finding out what their needs are. And it's been very interesting, actually, some of the people that we've spoken to, giving us some advice and very, very helpful. And it'll help shape what we do in the background. For instance, we're going to have it built into our website, the CRM at the back end, where people will be able to upload their own qualifications and experiences, and that'll be assuming you tick the box to say it can be viewed by the public, but it'll give people the opportunity. It actually came up in the AFCA meeting, AFCA said we'd love to have a directory like that where if someone submits a report to an insurer, we can go to a place where we can read about the expertise of the person that has been appointed. Obviously, not everyone's going to be that writes a report's going to be on our website, but you can see that that database can be very, very valuable. And also, another comment she made, she'd love for us to present to their team, what are the differences between different engineers? What do they do differently? It's all about people who may be experts, but are they the right expert for what they've been appointed to? That's definitely become a big issue too. So, and the other thing is the whole definition of who is an expert. At the moment, it's too broad in the code of practice, and we and AICLA and others have identified that and been pushing for changes. And I believe that this is the opportunity that there will be changes. So, there will be a lot happening over the next year, and we'll be putting some of that in a newsletter that's coming out in the next week. So there's we'll keep feeding through information.
A lot of information. There's a lot of information that within this period of just trying to break through. I mean, there's so much that we have to mandate and achieve in the sense of advocacy and engagement and promotion. It's very hard to put it into an initial presentation as we've done, especially for those that have just sort of just getting their head around what AiBEC is. But in saying that, there is a significant opportunity for everyone to be involved in different levels of where they wish to have an input into the insurance industry as experts, to have an input in improvement and betterment, and also have an input as professionals in a body with other sound and like-minded professionals. And that's something it's very unusual. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist within what we're doing. It is an industry that is closed, and it's time that we come to that maturity, as with other associations similar, that we can get together and express ourselves and get different ideas and put aside competitive natures or competitive thoughts and go from there. And that's what AiBEC is about. And ultimately have the opportunity to have presentations and seminars and functions that we can also have a good time as well. It's not all about the technicality. It's also about having a good time, that we can have a good time together with our peers and allied supporters as other functions occur as well, and we can host those as well. So there's lots of things to be said. As I said, I'm looking forward to taking opportunity there, but that's pretty much it. So if there's any other questions, I think we're done. Tony, are we?
I think so. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating and hearing our story. As you can see, we're very keen on it, and we believe it's it's here. As Dennis said, it's not going to go away. There's definitely a need for it, and the industry has recognised that. Not just our own constituents, but the wider industry sees as a very positive step moving forward. So I think that gives it a ringing endorsement, and I hope to see some of you or all of you join the association if you're not already members. And thank you for participating in this. As I said, drop me a note if you'd like a copy of the slides. We can